Howdy. Does my hair look all right? My name is Chris Raymer. I'm a very grateful recovered alcoholic. This is an interesting room. Look at all these people. Oh, when did y'all get here? Y'all think I'm joking? I can't see you. Oh my God. It's just, I'll wave every once in a while. There you go. I am delighted to be here. One of the cool things about getting to be as old as Methuselah is that you get to meet a lot of people in your little walk. And God dang it, I've gotten to see some friends of mine in here I hadn't seen in a million years, and it's just so good. I'm going to be here all day tomorrow. We're going to go to as many groups as we can, and I'm going to make some new friends. That's how it works. And hard for me not to get emotional about it. When I got sober, folks, I didn't even own an address book. There was no phone numbers. I had nobody. Now all of a sudden, there's a whole bunch of folks here that, I don't know. It's just such a big part of what I do. I got my watch, too. I want to remind you guys. I'm watching the clock closer than you smokers. And that's pretty close. I'm just saying. I don't want to go long on you. And thanks for anybody that had anything to do with getting me here. I came over with Patty, and my wife's here. She's in the program, too. It's the absolute coolest. I said if I ever got married again, I'd marry somebody that was in AA. And I did, and it's the coolest to sit in meetings. And, I'm watching my guys, and she's watching my guys watch her girls. It's fixing to be a shit show. Okay, and what are we going to do? It's the coolest. And I got to say this before, and I always do. Guys, I'm going to do one thing in this little time I've got with you. I want to share my experience. My experience may be completely different than your experience. There was a day I'm going to tell you how to do it. I'm not going to do that anymore, guys, ever. Everybody comes from a different walk, and if what you're doing is working and you're happy and you're sober, keep doing it. I'm not here to argue with anybody. If you're not helping people with the steps, I hope you leave soon. But other than that, I try. No, only thing I can share from is my perspective. My perspective is my perspective, and I spent a whole bunch of years in AA dying, and that was part of my story. And I work in the treatment business. I do clerical work for an old hospital, have forever, and it's the coolest thing. It's so many people out there seems to have had the same experience I had. You'll see them coming out of detox and they're all beat up, and I'm just trying to visit with them a little bit and say hi, and and they look up on the wall. We've got some steps on the wall, and they go, "Oh shit, no, this is no." I tried AA. It doesn't work. Just high five. Been there, done that. But you talk to them a minute and find out they did exactly the same thing I did for 7 years. All they did was go to a bunch of meetings. Nowhere in the big book does it say go to a bunch of meetings. I'm not knocking me. Go. That ain't going to fix it if you're the real McCoy. I just saying. So I come from a family, some of y'all have heard me talk before, and my dad was a printer. We were born, I wasn't raised that much. I was 11 when I left Odessa, Texas, out in the oil field. My dad was a World War II vet. He was one of the finest old guys you'd ever come across. He was just a sweetheart. He was an alcoholic, but he was just as kind as could be. There was no goofy stuff. Mom was a professional artist. We were raised on the front row of the Baptist church. Every time the door was open, we were there. And there was no goofy stuff going on. He's the kind of guy that would wake us up in the middle of the night. Chris, there's a thunderstorm coming. Y'all get up and take all of us kids up on the top of the roof. And he's taking pictures of the thunderstorms. Probably wasn't the smartest thing he could have done. We were like 3 little lightning rods up there but he loved us to death. He wanted us to experience life. And you listen to some of the speakers, and they were raised by a pack of wolves, and I wasn't. My twin brother and I caught the bullet. I got two sisters that didn't have a problem at all. You can look up my family tree, folks. Let's get this out of the way. There's studies that are out there for everywhere. Guys, you've got enough reading to keep you busy for years. Genetics. Alcoholism and drug addiction is not causal. It can exacerbate the problem. It can make it 4 times as bad. Some of you guys, I listen to some of the stuff you've been through, I just want to cry. I mean, how did we survive? Some of you guys, just bless you. It didn't cause you to be an alcoholic. Good therapy can get you through that. Lots of stuff can get you through that. It won't get you through alcoholism. Just a fact. I'll say it, I'll put it another way. If you're sitting in this wonderful room and you're feeling embarrassed about being an alcoholic, you don't understand what alcoholism is. Because you didn't ask to be an alcoholic. Genetics. My twin brother and I, like I said, we caught the bullet. You can look up my family tree on both sides, and there's give our little family tree a good kick, and little alcoholics drop out like pecans on a windy day. They're up through the panhandle of Texas, up into the tribes in Oklahoma, and I mean, buddy, we came by it natural. I got 2 sisters that have never had a problem with alcohol, ever. I watched my little sister get sick one time at a sorority party, first one I'd ever been to. Good heavens! And she's out in the backyard puking straight up like a little geyser, and I pulled the hair out of her face, and she said, "I'm never going to do that again." She never did. How many times did I do that? I'm never going to do that again. And yeah, until tomorrow. And then God. I got to tell you, I'll be around all day tomorrow too, guys. We can visit anytime if any of y'all want to visit about it. Well, the topic here, the theme here, a common solution. Y'all understand that it's one of the best things in the book that talks about in 17. When I'm working with a newcomer, it talks about it. The feeling of having shared a common peril is one element in the powerful cement that binds us. But that's not going to hold us together as we're now joined. I'm paraphrasing. The tremendous fact is that every one of us, we've discovered a common solution. And that's the deal. Guys, look around this gathering. We've got people from all walks of life in here. Good heavens. I've seen some beautiful people here. I've seen a couple of really butt ugly ones too. Oh my God. No, I mean really ugly. I mean, geez. What, white people, black people, gay people, straight people? I got a couple of Yankee. I mean, who knew? Guys, but what ties us all together is that if you sit down long enough and you talk a little minute, you'll find out we've got the same exact symptoms. That's what Silkworth started noticing and jotting down notes when he was in Towns Hospital. He got to see everybody coming from different walks of life, and they were all experiencing the same exact symptoms. Everybody spends time today, guys. It's everywhere. Everybody wants to continue to look. What caused you to be an alcoholic? There's a little eggy, a little spermy. I'm coming to get you. Bam. My wife just put her head down on a table. She just. My dad moved us from Odessa out in West Texas to Texas, hill country out in Kerrville, Texas, and when I was about, I was 11 years old, and moved us up there right on the Guadalupe River, and guys, it was a beautiful. It was the bomb. We lived out on 4 acres, and went to school, and just there was nothing. I don't know. Hindsight, looking back, guys, we didn't have a lot of money, but we had a great life, and always had food and clean clothes, and we were okay. And I remember my junior year of high school. It was January. I'll never forget it. It was January 1971. The year and the month that Bill Wilson passed away. I took my first drink. A friend of mine stole a little bottle like this of Boone's Farm apple wine. I always laugh about it. The only people acknowledging that are the old hippies in here. Yeah, it's some nasty stuff. Anyway, but we always smile. And he took a sip and said, "That tastes like crap." It was about 9 o'clock at night. We'd gone down to the Guadalupe River and leaned up against one of those 700-year-old cypress trees. And the tree's still there. I checked it after the big flood we just had on July 4th. And the tree I leaned up against is still there. And thank God. And he took a sip and hated it. He says, "I'm going home." I said, "Let me make sure I understand. You don't want any more of this bottle, correct?" I'd had sips of my dad's beers before, but I'd never had enough in my body to change the way I felt. And I sat there and I finished that little bottle. And it were good. I don't care who's speaking this weekend, guys. They're all going to say the same thing. I took my first drink and something changed. It wasn't that I went and partied and had a good... Guys, inside. I walked back across that field breathing all the way in and all the way out and felt comfortable in my skin. Yeah. I was John Travolta. for at least for a minute. But we were going to continue to do this. That's fine. Texas football, we're going to go Friday nights, and we're going to go to the property afterwards and drink. Pops used to buy us a keg beer, and we'd go out there and drink, and just it was okay. We held it together pretty well, and no big deal. I wanted to be a professional chef, bad, and I was a busboy. This was before child labor laws, guys. Y'all follow? I was working at 15, and but the cooks in the back they were drinking behind the counter. You could see them back there, and there were girls back there. And use your imagination. I just know that, yeah. Thank God there was alcohol, or I'd still be a virgin. Okay, I'm just saying. We're laughing about it. I'm the shyest guy in the bunch. Y'all know that? And then then here you go. I couldn't wait. Hook and crook. Mom knew some people that knew some people. And anyway, I ended up getting a job at Houston at a big old hotel. And little skinny guy from the hill country. And, it were good. My twin brother and I, we left Kerrville. And never forget, he had bought a Volkswagen Beetle when he was in school in San Angelo. And it had a bumper sticker on the back that said, "Get drunk and be somebody." We couldn't even buy booze. Y'all understand that? We couldn't even buy booze in Texas at 18, 19 years old. And but the next door neighbors could. So we were set. And guys, we were holding it together. We'd drink every day at work. It was just holding it together. You'd sit down with the chefs. Everybody would have a beer, holding it. No biggie. A lot of folks don't understand the progression. There's periods of time for a lot of us that you can drink for periods of time and hold it together. If we functioning alcoholism, whatever you want to call it. And golly, I sponsored a sea of old guys, 30, 40 years, that drank semi-successfully, not really much problem until later in their lives, and then it turned into a mess. One of the worst alcoholics I ever worked with was 19 years old. He drank twice, blacked out both times. Y'all thought, is end-stage alcoholic at 19. Stop looking at this chronologically. It travels different speeds in different people. Who knows? If I could look at you and say, "Oh, go on, buddy, you've still got 20 years before it gets to be," you can't do that. And when it got bad for me, y'all thought it was gradual kind of bad, and then it went, like the Roadrunner and the Coyote. I just dropped off the edge. And I started in Houston. I started making these geographics. Do y'all ever make a geographical thing, kind of? I still have a pickup truck because you never know when you might need to move again. And I moved from Houston to Austin, Texas, and I was there for a couple of years and went to Austin and went to Atlanta, Georgia. Couldn't stay there a year because they didn't sell alcohol on Sundays. That's just abusive. I don't know. Moved back to Texas, got out of the food business, went to Wheat Harvest up in Vernon, Texas, went back to Houston, bought a barbecue restaurant. I'm traveling guess who shows up every time I move? I don't understand what's wrong with me. But on one of those geographical moves, I ended up in I got married to this nice lady, and almost immediately left the restaurant and moved up to North Texas to be closer to my twin brother. Some of y'all know Myers. We're thick as thieves, and I went up to live there, and we bought a little house. And guys, on the outside, everything looks good. Y'all follow? In Texas, that's the Holy Trinity: job, girl, pickup truck. And I got them. We're good. But I'm miserable. I remember her coming out on the porch one day. She said, "What's wrong? You just look unhappy." It's what I don't understand is the spiritual malady that the book is talking about is kicking my butt. There's periods of time. Yeah. I can drink and I'm okay for a minute and then I'm not. And that's the problem. What used to work with me 3 years ago, 4 years ago, it's not working anymore. It's getting nasty. I got to tell you, folks, I'd been messing around with the chef after work, and I'd started doing some stuff in the 80s. What's that stuff called? cocaine. That was it. No, let's just get straight, guys. In the early 80s, guys, everybody in the United States was doing cocaine. No, shake your head. Everybody. Your grandmother was doing cocaine. And liked it a lot. I just like... And I'd been doing a little bumpy poo with the chef and drinking all, in the afternoon. And we went home and I don't know. I walked in and I don't remember what the fight was about. Anyway, but I had a pushing match with my wife. And I come from, remember, the front row of the Baptist church. We don't do pushing matches in my family. We don't see any of that. We don't have any of that. I don't remember. She asked me to leave, and I did. And I came back a few hours later, and she let me back in the house. And we had the talk. Y'all know the talk. She looked me straight, and she said, "Chris, if you want to stay married to me, you're going to have to stop." And I'm in this little place, guys, where I don't have a problem I'm good with stopping. I'm not digging this. This is not fun. I'm not enjoying it like I used to. And y'all remember when you first started drinking, it was so much fun. And then after a period of time, you're drinking, but it's not quite so much fun. It's kind of a pain in the butt. And then if you drink long enough, it's just a nightmare. Sun up to sundown. It's horrible. It's tragic. We die from it. Patty and I got a little place downtown San Antonio, and little street urchins are all over downtown down there, and watching these little guys. I mean, it could have been me. Anyway, I looked her in the face and promised her that I'd never take another drop. And I could have passed a polygraph. I meant it with every fiber in my body. So did y'all. Everybody wants to make jokes. Oh, you alcoholics are a bunch of liars. That's not true. When I told her I was going to stop, I meant it. You see, if you can stop because you say you're going to stop, you're a hard drinker. AA's full of them. Lots of people out there that can do that. The real alcoholic's not going to be able to. A week and a half later, I drank a beer with the boss after work. I didn't get drunk. I'm patting myself on the back. Look, I just had. My deal with her was that I wasn't going to touch another drop. And she started the process. She started packing. And I went to an AA meeting the next day. And they were the nicest, sweetest people on earth. They were good eggs. I spent the next 7 years, guys, in these meetings, and they're wonderful. I'm pleased. Nobody was ever trying to hurt me. But all we did was the same thing. We'd go to meetings, and they'd tell you to go to more meetings. Well, I'm not in a really good place. Well, double up. Go to more meetings. It drives me crazy, guys. We use so many people out there. I said it at Founders Day one time. I say it all the time. God dang, guys, if I could click my fingers and get rid of one thing in Alcoholics Anonymous, it would be 90 meetings in 90 days. Because I'm sorry to continue to tell people to do it, but we set people up for failure. I'm going to the meetings, but I can't stay sober. Y'all understand? I can stay sober. I can stop for 2 weeks for an ugly woman. I can quit work. I'll stop. But about 2 weeks in, this internal stuff that the speakers this afternoon were talking, y'all, that spiritual malady that the book spends on page 64, it starts kicking my butt. The spiritual malady comes back. Irritable, restless, discontent. Y'all read the bedevilments on page 52. Fear, depression, all of this low self-esteem, feeling of uselessness, all of this stuff starts to come back and kick my butt. And at a certain point, the pain of not drinking one day at a time outweighs the benefits in my head. Click. And to heck with it. And my head says, you can have one beer. No. You can smoke a joint. Okay, here. I'm off. Now today, just whatever. There's more stuff you can put in your... All this triggers the craving, and I'm off to the stupid races one more time. And I go back and I pick up another chip. Y'all follow? Okay. Well, let's tell Chris how we got here. Oh, please. Let me guess. Oh, shit. You drank too much. No, we're not going to do. Y'all follow? What we're going to do is we're going to talk about how you got here. And you're going to tell your stupid story one more time. Guys, I'm not knocking it. Tell your story. I'm going to tell my story tonight. We're going to use it appropriately. Christians use the word discernment. Y'all follow? You're sitting down with this nice lady and she's got a $400 Louboutin bag sitting in her lap and you're going to talk about eating out of a dumpster. She's not coming back. We just scared the shit out of her. No, do any of y'all think any of this stuff's going to happen to you? There's no chapter in the back of the book called End to Scare. The original stories in the back of the book, if you read the first editions that we're talking about, this is how we had spiritual experiences. That's what the stories were geared to. Now it's not talking about identification. See if you can identify with... Guys, I still, all these years later, my sober date is November 13th, 1987. I don't know anybody that's had my story. Parts of it. But I'm not knocking it, guys. Tell your story. But these guys are trying to scare me into recovery. It's driving me crazy. And I'm sitting there listening, and they're telling their stories, and it's a way, but they're being arrested, and they're going to. And I've never missed a day's worth of work ever. I got great work ethics. Yep. There's no big books in the place. Nobody's working this. We're not talking about. I go up to somebody. Somebody said something about getting a sponsor. Well, when you get ready, you'll know. The steps will work you. What? I got to say this and move on. I still have this vivid memory. I can't tell you how many times I drive to the meeting hall up there in North Texas, and there was a big old gravel parking lot. Y'all know the kind of deal. It was a big old metal building where the AA club was, and you'd go in there, and everybody, keep coming back. It works and you work it. Okay, and I've been to my millionth meeting, and I walk out on the front porch and smoke, and everybody's out there smoking, talking about where they're going to go to dinner, and pretty soon I'm looking around, and there's nobody there anymore. They're all okay. I'll see you over at Denny's, and I'm just sitting there by myself. Walk out, lean on my pickup truck. A guy comes out of the metal building, looks around, sees me out there, and it's like, hey, you hear him. All the lights in the parking lot go out. And I get in the car and drive 2 blocks to the little convenience store and buy a 6-pack of beer and go home. I'm alone. I am scared. I feel like crap. 27 places in the book, my count, talks about approaching the newcomer. The newcomers the newcomers don't know what to ask, folks. I just got to say it. We've never had a problem ever in the history of Alcoholics Anonymous getting people to come to our rooms. Never had a problem getting people to come into AA. We have an unbelievable hard job keeping them to stay. How many of us have seen? They come and they go. They come and they go. They come and they leave and they never see them again. I tried AA. It doesn't work. No, what they did is they come and they sat in a bunch of meetings and listen to you tell your stupid stories. Let me tell you what happened to me, guys. If my pickup truck breaks down, I got to know what the problem is before I can start looking for a solution. Y'all understand? If I don't know what's wrong with me, I call myself an alcoholic forever, folks. I didn't even more believe it than the man in the moon because I'm not doing all that crazy stuff that y'all are doing. I came home from work one day, and I'd been in AA about 7 years, and I came home from work and went in and started drinking. I picked up a stack of return checks in my mailbox. I mean, my life is, please don't be the rent check. Please don't be the rent check. And it was the rent. And here I'm going to have to go to my sister-in-law. I'm going to have to borrow some more money. Come on, guys, I'm 35 years old. I'm living in a town I don't want to live in. I'm working at a job. Thank God my brother hired me. I'd be on the street. But I'm no good at it. I don't have a girlfriend. I've been in AA 7 years, and I don't have a single phone number. I'll take full responsibility, folks. But really? I'm in one of those spots, guys. I just can't. My life is horrible. I've got a psychiatrist in Dallas. I'm on 7 prescription medications a day. I have lots of psychiatric disorders, folks. I'm not doctor shopping like you losers. I got some real stuff going on, and I remember that night. It was a Friday night. It was Friday the 13th. Still our lucky number. And I get up and fed the little ferrets. And I love ferrets. they didn't stink so bad, we'd have a bunch. That's all I'm just saying. And I watered the little ivy and stacked up the checks, and I just tidied up a little bit, went to the medicine cabinet, took a couple of bottles of pills, and tried to commit suicide. Nothing romantic. Guys, I'm just done. I'm tired of doing this. I've done AA. I'm in therapy. I've been on IOP. I'm on all these medications. I'm doing anything y'all ask me to do, and I just can't seem to. I see some of y'all staying sober. I just can't. I laid down on the bed and ready to die, and heard a voice that night said, "Don't do this. Go back to AA." And I'm arguing with the voice. Y'all understand? I've done AA. It doesn't work. Give me something else. Voice is still there, and I got up and I made myself sick, and I laid down on the side of the bed, and luckily didn't die. Next morning, I woke up and the voice was still there in my head. Go back to AA. As luck would have it, God was all over it. There was a piece of equipment at the bindery that broke down, and I was running late. I couldn't go to the meeting I'd been going to all those years. I had to go to a different meeting. Somebody had showed it to me. They said it's a big book meeting. I didn't have no idea what that was. I just knew you weren't going to get laid in that place. So anyway, not that I was in any other place. But I went to this other meeting, and I parked in the back. God, I didn't want anybody to know. Yeah, it was a secret. This is anonymous. I didn't want anybody to know I was coming back to Alcoholics Anonymous. It's like, Mom, after I got sober, she said, "Oh, I made all the. I probably screwed up." She says, "I put you on the prayer list of every church in town." She said, "I even told the Catholics." It was something right there, buddy. Maybe it worked. But some of y'all heard me talk about it 1,000 times. I'll go quick. But I walked in the back door and I got real self-conscious. Chairperson had seen me and he, "Chris, God didn't come up here and sit with me." And I got real self-conscious. I'm detoxing, for God's sake. And I just guys, I'll come back. This is Friday, remember? And I'll come back Monday. I'm on a detox and I'll come back. And I started to take a step back, turned around and go. And this little girl snuck up on my blind side. She says she didn't. She did. If I'd have seen her, I'd have come and I'd have taken the maneuver, But she stuck her finger in my belt loop. She sat me down on the couch. She said, "Sit down, cowboy. You're not going anywhere." What? I'm shocked. Y'all understand? I get emails from all over the world. Men should sponsor men and women should sponsor. This little girl didn't sponsor me. I asked her. She said no. But her sponsor was across the way. Y'all remember the meetings back when we would smoke in the meetings? This long 6-foot table with ashtrays about the size of trash can lids on the deal. And we could, the ceilings dropping down. Oh my God. Yeah. And her sponsor couldn't get to me. She said, "Get him." And this little girl, if y'all think for a second that you have any idea who God's going to use to help you, you're probably wrong. In a million years, I'm waiting for the guru, Mr. AA, to come. "Could you sit with me for a second?" It's never happened in 7 years, but it could. She sat down and got me a cup of coffee, which I immediately spilled, and a roll of paper towels and another cup of coffee, and the meeting started. I got to tell you real quick, the chairperson, he kept looking at the wall, when the steps and the traditions on the wall, and he kept looking up there, and he says, and I knew what was coming. "Guys, I've done this for 7 years. We have a newcomer coming back. Let's tell Chris how we got here." And he says, "We're going to tell some more stories. Can't wait." He did. And he said, "We got a newcomer coming back in here. He's been around for a while. Why don't we tell Chris how our lives have changed as a result of working the steps?" The book talks about pulling newcomers with a vision, folks. That's what we're supposed to be doing. But I didn't own a big book, so who knew? 7 years in a room, I don't own a big book. I don't have a sponsor. Lady kind of cat-a-corner to me. She had she held up a set of car keys. She had a big old shitty grin on her face. She'd been sober a year or so, and she'd got her a brand new car out in the parking lot. 2 weeks earlier, I'd been turned down for a $500 car loan, trying to buy a newer old pickup. Y'all follow? And then I got turned down. My credit sucked. She's got this brand new car, and the guy next to her started a little landscape business. He's out there making a little money, and he's all excited. Lady at the end of the table, I'm 35. She must have been in her 40s, early 40s. She'd gone back to art school. She had a little sketch pad, and she'd got her art degree. Yeah. The guy next to me tapped me on the shoulder, scared me to death, and I didn't see him. And he had billfolds, opened his billfold up and set it down in front of me, and there's little pictures of his kids. He'd come to AA, and they'd made a little AA lady, and they'd made some little AA babies, and come on. And he's got tears in his eyes. Y'all follow? He's sitting there crying because he's got a whole different life. Into that meeting, they asked me if I wanted to stay sober a day at a time, and I said, you better believe it. I get people all the time emailing me. You think these meetings ought to be pep rallies? Yes, I do. We'd have a lot more people staying if these meetings were pep rallies instead of pissing and moaning contests. My life's so hard. Let's go to Denny's. Let's talk about that, okay? Not in here. Good. Those little guys got hold of me. I got to tell you, they after I was heading out, and the guys got between me, a couple of cowboys, and I wish I could explain it to you. They were just something else. This guy was a stereotypical Texan, young look, tan pants, belt buckle about the size of a dinner plate, white shirt, snaps, just big old cowboy hat on. He had a Cadillac in the parking lot with bull horns on the front. He's been dead forever. Name was J.R. No, y'all think I'm making that shit? No, it really. And I'm looking at this guy. He said, "Chris, sit with us for a few minutes. We don't think maybe we could figure out why you can't stay sober." Didn't you hear me say that I had a psychiatrist in Dallas? I have professionals all around me trying to help me. And now this old cowboy's going to, yeah. Folks in Alcoholics Anonymous. These guys got me, and they opened a big book. They asked me, "Where's your big book? Do you have one?" And I said, "No, sir, I don't." And they got me one out of the closet. And they started showing me some pages in the doctor's opinion that talked about the physical craving. And they flipped back over, and they showed me some stuff and more about alcoholism, and there's a solution. And they started talking about the mental obsession. That little page on 24 says, "We have lost the power of choice in drink." They started talking about the insanity of the first drink. It's like, holy. They talked about the spiritual malady. Guys, it took them less than 30 minutes to do that. And these guys were they've left the meeting at 6 o'clock, at 7 o'clock. They're supposed to be home eating dinner with their family, but they stayed after to help this little one-eyed guy figure out what was wrong with him. I owe him my life. I want to stay sober, guys. I can't. When that obsession comes back, I'm gone. If any of you guys ever email me, y'all can have my emails. If you email me, I'll send you a little quick guide, little first step deal that I use with my guys to go quick. Y'all see that there's a window of opportunity. I set the booze down, and the clock's ticking. Depends on how far the illness has progressed. How many of you guys have ever stopped drinking and the obsession leaves and you're feeling good? See you in treatment. Golly, we watch them in treatment all the time. Come out and they come in, they're at banana pudding all over their face, and they're all banged up. And a couple of weeks later, they're out there playing volleyball or doing some crazy. They're doing great. And then about 3 weeks out, they're AMA. To heck with this place. Okay, I got you. Rock on. They're thirsty. When is that obsession going to come back? Because when the obsession comes back, I said it the other day and somebody called me a flat liar. How many times do you think I've wanted to take a drink in the last 37 years? Never. Guys, those promises are real. You do what you're supposed to do and that obsession goes away. I could never not think through the drink. No. It's not going to happen. Don't get me started. Pay attention to your triggers. Don't get me started. God. Trigger was a horse. He's dead. Just guys for grins. I got to go on this. How many of you guys drank when everything was really good in your life? Raise your hand. Get them up there. Moving around like that. AC the person next to you. There you go. How many of you drank when everything was crappy in your life? Oh, how many of you had a really nice girl in your life? Just horrible girl. Great job. Crappy job. Listening to Merle Haggard. Rock and roll. Nice house. Cardboard box. Daylight. Night. Do you realize we could do this all night long? Come on, just do you think? I had a friend of mine in San Diego. He says, I figured out the perfect trigger for me. It's called consciousness. Ain't it the truth? But you've got an industry out there, everybody's trying to figure out, we can help you figure out why you drink. Because you're an alcoholic. I don't need a reason. It just drives me crazy. I went home that night with tears in my eyes because it's the first time I really understood that I was an alcoholic. I'd call myself an alcoholic forever. I didn't even believe it in the Man in the Moon because my stories are not like your stories. I'm an alcoholic, guys. The symptoms, physical craving, mental obsession, spiritual malady, I got. They said, Chris, we'll work the steps. We'll get you a sponsor and we'll help you get on started on this. The next morning we came in, they showed me how to make a pot of coffee. You're going to need to know this. Okay. I'd been in AA for 7 years. I never made a pot of coffee. I never do anything but sit in the corner with my arms folded, waiting to be offended so I could leave. We went to the morning meeting, and afterwards we chased some folks out of the back room, and three of us got on our knees and did a third-step prayer. Got up, and they took me, bought me a plate of Mexican food, and came back, and they gave me a notebook, and we started doing the fourth-step. Guys, read the history. I can send you sites where you can read them. Nobody took longer than a few days at the most to work the 12 steps. And yet we got people out here like, well, we're going to take a year to do the work. We'll start on the title page and read. Go ahead. But the clock's ticking. You better read fast. I'm just saying. Guys, I got to tell you. 2 weeks later, I've got a completed fourth step, ready to do a fifth step. They're teaching me the disciplines of prayer and meditation in service. And I'm sitting on the tailgate of my truck, and it's Friday, and I got money in my pocket. I got paid, and I don't want to drink. I'm looking around, and I got liquor stores all around me, and a 7-Eleven thingy, and I could go, and I'm done. Went inside, fed the ferrets, and washed the dishes, and cranked up some hot music, and just had a beautiful evening. That's freedom, folks. It's not this, I don't want to drink today. Sometimes a second at a time. Oh, shoot us. No, that's not what this is about. It's unapologetically about God. Let's have a spiritual experience. What a concept. How do you have a spiritual experience? Work the steps. I don't believe in God. You will. It may look a little different than mine. I don't know, but I've just seen it. It freaks me out. I got to tell you, I was about. It was that same week that I sat on that tailgate, and I came back to the meetings the next day, and one of the same old guys that sat with me that night and opened the big book for me. They said, Chris, listen, we got group conscience next week. Why don't you come on Wednesday night? And because some of us want to nominate you for chairman of the cleanup committee. Because I'm in the food business, y'all follow? They think I know how to clean a kitchen. And I said, I do. Well, y'all need some help here for sure. And I'm not interested. And he said, well, come to the group conscience anyway. You've never been to one. You need to know what this is about. And I said, okay, I'll be there. Come on, God. I hadn't been in that room 5 minutes, and they'd nominated me as chairman of the cleanup committee. They voted me in unanimously. I was not happy. Y'all follow? I didn't know. And I'm going in after the meeting, and this guy's over there, and he's got that look on his face like, we got you, you know. And he's walking in the kitchen, and he's cleaning up the coffee pots. And I said, listen, if I'm going to take this position, you need to give me a list of the other committee members so that I can organize a cleaning rotation for the club. I'm very organized. I know how to do this. He spit coffee clear across the sink, like that. He said, Chris, there's no committee. You're the janitor here at the group. They open the door. Here, meet Mr. Hoover. You know, here's the keys. Bye-bye now. Don't forget to get the lights. Guys, I'm 3 weeks sober. You follow? They gave me the keys to the place. Them old timers said, guys, they say, find a job in AA, you'll stay. How long can you hide out in AA? It's like I watch my brothers and sisters get on Zooms, and the camera's off. I was in a meeting last night. Did you turn your camera on? Okay, well, you might want to. Did you introduce yourself to anybody? Well, no. You're missing the boat. This is about relationships. This is about making... You're going to have some people to lean on. And it's not just about being an alcoholic. Guys, we're all human in this world. We need people to lean on. They created a monster. I went back in. I stayed away for a couple of days to punish them, and then I went in. My brother wasn't sober yet. He was going to get sober in another month, but he let me off work early, and I locked myself in that club about 1 o'clock on a Friday, and I cleaned that place like a big boy. Y'all follow? Chairs, ruler, y'all follow? Everything, all that brown stuff in the coffee pots. What is it about AA club bathrooms? What I don't understand. They're not Exxon stations. Come on, if you drop it on the floor, pick it up, put it in the trash. I'm just saying. I clean those bathrooms like a big boy, and I'm sitting there. It's 5:30. Meeting starts at 6. I got a pot of coffee made, and I'm sitting there in the little room with my little Fruit of the Loom T-shirt, soaking wet. Y'all remember Fruit of the Loom T-shirts? Oh God, they were so good. That's all I had in my closet. You wash them about 100 times, and the little pocket that used to be here is now over here. You put your smokes here, you look like a little kangaroo. Oh my God. I know. No wonder I couldn't get a date. What the hell? A date? Yeah. And I heard somebody coming in the front door, and I didn't even have to see her. I knew who it was because I could hear her little shoes on the linoleum that I had just waxed. She comes in. You could hear her squealing. She's the matriarch of the group, folks. She's been passed away a long time ago. She was an absolute sweetheart. She was about, she was about this tall. I don't know. She looked like a little question mark. She was about 140 years old. You could hear her sliding down the linoleum. She's squealing. Oh my God. She's in the kitchen. Oh my gosh. She looked, you hear her go back around the bathroom, and she's squealing in there. And she's like, she looked around the corner. She said, did you clean this place? It's just me and her in the place. If I'd had a tie, I'd have straightened it. Yes, ma'am. And I've told the story forever, and every time I say it, I want to cry. God. She walked around behind me, and she got her little bony arm around my neck. I'm sitting at a table, a little 6-foot table. She got her little arm around my neck and gave me a little back hug. And I can still feel her voice on my cheek. And she said, boy, we need you here. Do y'all realize, guys, I didn't try to commit suicide 3 weeks earlier because I was drunk. I tried to commit suicide because I felt absolutely useless. I hate my life. And the one thing I needed was somebody to tell me that I was okay, that they needed me. They created the monster big time. You couldn't walk in that club and not checking your feet. Hey, go back out and wipe them feet off. You know, it's like... I got to say it real quick. The spiritual warfare that we talk about, guys, Big Book is really clear. On the bottom of page 129, it talks about in those first days of convalescence, nothing will so much help you stay sober as intensive work with other alcoholics. This crap that people tell people, the newcomer, you can't sponsor until you're a year sober. You can't sponsor. I was in New Orleans one time, and they said, we don't let anybody in New Orleans sponsor till they're 5 years sober. Well, I know a whole bunch of people in New Orleans. That can't be. No. Guys, in the first days of convalescence. Thank God nobody told Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob that. We'd have a different fellowship, you know? Bless them. The spiritual warfare is that little voice in your head that tells you, how can I help them? I can't even help myself. Oh, God. Just please. Had a priest one time, a Jesuit priest. He was wondering. He said, "Do you think Satan wants you dead?" Everybody said yes. It was a men's workshop. Everybody said yes. No. Satan wants you ineffectual, sitting on your butt, alone in your apartment or house, feeling sorry for yourself. Guys, we can't do that. We got to get out there and help. I said it a minute ago. If you think you have any idea who's going to help you, you're probably wrong. If you think you're going to have any idea who you're going to help, you're probably wrong. I've seen it 1,000 times. Patty and I were laughing about it. We were in a meeting. I'm looking back across the room, and at the end of our meeting, we don't say keep coming back. We say stay. You know how you can get an idea when somebody's looking at you? And I look at Patty. I glanced over. I said, Patty, is that guy over there looking at me? She said, which one? It says the little guy with all the tattoos and stuff. He's got piercings and prongs and he looks like a little space alien. And she said, yeah, I think he is. I said, I can't sponsor anybody. I'm booked up, man. I'm busy as hell, and I can't. She says, okay. All right. And we say the Lord's Prayer, and I'm getting my little book, and I'm getting ready like that. And I said, Patty, is he coming? She says, oh, yeah. And he's pushing people out of... Y'all know that sound, that music in Jaws? Dun, 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 dun. He's coming in hot, and he's coming... Oh, God. And he's pushing people out of the way, and he comes up like that. And I look at Patty. I said, "Okay, I'll talk to him. I'll talk to him like that." And I turned around just in time for him to put his arm up and push me out of the way. One of my little guys that I sponsor, same tattoos, piercings, the whole little aliens together, pushes me out of the way to get to this guy out here, and I can hear him. Could you sponsor me? And now I'm looking at Patty. Well, I thought what I shared tonight was particularly good. I got my feelings a little hurt here, Guys, he didn't want anything I had to say. He wanted this guy back here. They're out there outside smoking and this little guy that I sponsor. If you got to hold your vape with 2 hands, it's too big. I'm just saying. You can't see who they are. All you can see is these little tattooed legs sticking out from the smoke, billowing like. And now instead of the 2 legs, there's 4 legs, and they're just happy as little campers out there. And I leave, and the little guys are down there, and they got their books open. Y'all follow? He's got him a big book, got the cake. That's how this works, folks. I don't know who God's going to use to help you. I just know if you ask for the help, they're going to be there. And if you're in a group that studies the literature, I guarantee you they'll be fighting for the chance to help. I used to take Patty and I would pick my mom up and take her to eating meetings with us, big book meetings and stuff. Afterwards, the speaker meetings. And she'd go in there, and on the way home, twice I can remember, she'd have tears in her eyes. And I said, Mom, are you okay? She said, yeah, I wish we could see that kind of love in our churches. No, really, folks. Ain't the truth? I don't have time to get into it, guys, but I had a real health scare a couple of years ago with a bad case of vertigo, and I was doing a talk in South Carolina and got up, got ready, and I fell on the floor and couldn't get up. This getting old stuff sucks. Can I get a witness? Amen, brother. And I finally found my phone, and I called my host, and he came over and got me, y'all follow, and sat with me for 2 days in the damn emergency room. Got my meds that I needed. Y'all follow? Got me back to the airport. Checked on me after. People from that conference all checked on me. I couldn't speak. Way better today. Y'all follow? You'll never see the kind of love that you'll see in Alcoholics Anonymous, in meetings that are spiritually connected. That's what we do, guys. It's not all this dogma. You've got to do this and you've got to do that. It's not. Do what works. But get you some people around you, folks, to love on you. Because at the end of the day, that's exactly what this is about. And you'll never look back. It's the absolute coolest thing. I got to read this. Somebody sent this to me the other day, and I got to tell you. God didn't add another day to your life because you needed it. He added it because someone needed you. And the spiritual warfare that I was talking about is that little voice saying, nobody needs me. You don't have a clue. Your experience, you're going to end up sitting in a meeting right next to somebody that's got the exact same experience. And when somebody comes and talks to me, I know thousands of you that I can hook these people up with. No, I don't have any experience with PTSD, but I got friends that do. Let me hook you up. That's how you're going to use everything that you survived and came out the other side with, you're going to be able to use to help other people. And if you're in a group that won't let you do that because you're not sober long enough, go find a different group. Because I tell you, folks, every single one of you in here, we need you. A lot of treatment centers out there don't even do 12-step stuff anymore. They're doing everything else under the sun except that. And they're coming at us by the bus loads, people coming in. And they're not hearing the message that they used to hear in a lot of these treatment centers. They're going to come into our meetings. And if they're not hearing some solution, you walk into a meeting and you don't hear a bunch of laughter, you're probably in the wrong meeting. It's some pretty cool stuff. I got to tell you guys, I can't wait till tomorrow and we can sit and visit and talk and we'd love to send you all any information that you need about those step stuff and bless you for letting me do this. Thank y'all.
Thank you so much, Chris.